This episode of Blue Plz is brought to you by the US Horde Guild, The Nothing. Join us for Cataclysm as we do what hardcore guilds do in half the time. Find us at www.whatistthenothing.org and enjoy our live streams and videos. Join in the awesomeness.
And so, it begins. Dark were the skies and chill was the wind as the land was covered in a veil of malice. Across the hill did ride a dread army of the night, cloaked in mist and fog, prepared to rain down death and destruction upon the land. And the people did crowd for a savior, a noble soul to save them from their impending demise. Just as it seemed all was lost, in strode a mighty hero, clad in shimmering metal from head to toe. Wielding a terrible broadsword, he did cleave his foes in two, smashing their ranks asunder with righteous fury. And when the day was done and the enemy strewn across the fields in pieces, the people did turn to the warrior and say, "We shall name this day in your honor. Speak unto us your wisdom." The warrior said one word that day: epic.
One man, one murloc, one giant angry badger. This is Blue Plz. It begins now. Yes, indeed! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Blue Plz here on cynicalbrit.com with myself, TotalBiscuit. The date today is the 23rd of 11, 2010. That means we're quite close to the time of the apocalypse. Yes, also known as 2012, Beck Palin. Oh, what a terrifying idea. Oh, it's good to be back, it's good to be back. I was off air for a few days. Why? Well, if any of you were paying attention, it's actually because I was landing it up. We had the first ever inaugural Cynical LAN, ladies and gentlemen, and it was awesome. So thank you to everyone who showed up to that. We even had, well, Husky wasn't there, but he was there in spirit. We had the LAN Centre's Husky dog that was lying around on the floor all day and trying to get out every now and again. Very clever dog. Sort of whoring it up a little bit, I must say, looking for attention. Very distracting when you're trying to play Black Ops. You've got this husky dog under your feet, but awesome nonetheless. So there you go. But yeah, it was great. So thanks to everyone that showed up to that. It was fantastic to meet all of you, and looking forward to seeing all of you again at some point in the not too distant future. That's going to be a regular thing, considering how successful it was, and next time we'll find a better Chinese buffet to eat at, because I don't know, the gecko just isn't very good, is it? Ugh, it's just, it's no. Not good. I've been to an awful lot, but I mean, that curry sauce is really good, and the fried rice is great, but the rest of it is fried chicken wings at a Chinese buffet. I mean, really. Yeah. Was not impressed all that much, I must say. Also, I have to give a very solemn announcement. Something that was cared for a great deal of time has now sadly passed away. It served its country and its purpose for many years. And its name is Cats Hate Mango's laptop. After he got drunk, we played League of Legends. He fed hard, then headbutted his screen. And so we lay it to rest. Ashes to ashes, silicon to silicon. Rage quit to rage quit. What have I got coming up for you in the show today? Well, I can think of a few things. Stuff. Things. Things and stuff. It's an idea, isn't it? Sounds like a reasonable plan. I'm going to be talking a little bit about this Best Buy devchat. If I hadn't read it with my own eyes, I would have assumed that someone was trolling me. It's like, you know they're hosting the dev chat with Best Buy, right? I'm like, what? Seriously? Best Buy? What do they got to do with anything? Oh, well, they're our corporate partners. Oh, okay. So, yeah, remind me the next time that I do something to... Let's see, what's the current add-up on my site? Yeah. So, this show is brought to you by 3 Mobile and the Nokia N8. Which has nothing to do with this show at all, but hey, there you go. Host the dev chat, host a cynical chat that's sponsored by freaking Weetabix or something. It sounds sensible. There's no reason. It's not like setting up a dev chat actually costs anything. It's not like they'll be putting out any outlay to bring you something that otherwise wouldn't be there. It's just blatant, completely and totally blatant sponsorship. Corporate sponsorship. It's like Best Buy gave a bunch of money to Blizzard, and Blizzard said, this one brought to you by... You know, I do that at the start of my show. But then again, bear in mind, I'm a one-man band right here. I've got a website to run. I've got bills to pay. I'm not a multinational corporation. I mean, really. At least when I get sponsored by something, it's generally WoW-related. Or at least gaming-related. Best Buy? When was the last time you heard of anyone genuinely going to Best Buy to buy gaming stuff? When you have so many much better options available. I don't even know. We'll be talking about that a little bit later because this was a pretty lame chat and I'm looking forward to taking it apart. Also, retrospective on the beta. It ended yesterday, folks, with no fanfare, no event. How very, very disappointing. The best beta they've ever done and the worst ending to the best beta they've ever done. Will it be the worst expansion? Will it be the best expansion? I can tell you for a fact it's much better than Wrath. I'll do my post-mortem on it and, of course, remind you of the plans that's going to be going forward. Oh yeah, hell, I won't even talk about that now. I'll just tell you right now. It's going to be great. Really looking forward to starting this. Probably at the start of next week, I'm going to be starting Azeroth Daily, which is the daily news show. Basically, it's going to be a one-stop shop for all WoW news. Going to be in association with a whole bunch of different websites. It's going to be great stuff. Looking forward to it. We're going to have all of the news. We're going to have Blue Post Roundup. We're going to have, of course, my personal opinion on a bunch of stuff. Going to be reviewing mods. We're going to be looking at best quest of the day, hints and tips. There'll be a mailbag at the end of each episode. It's going to be about 10 to 15 minutes long. It's going to be out every day of the week except for Sundays. And it is hopefully going to be very, very enjoyable indeed. Also, Let's Play World of Warcraft. Oh, I didn't want to do it, but you know what? Considering... Here's the logic behind doing this, by the way. Here is this logic. So, a lot of people like to say, oh, well, TotalBiscuit's channel's going to die once Cataclysm comes out and once the beta's over. Well, you know what? The beta's over, and I don't see my subs dropping, for one thing. And secondly, it comes down to the fact that people actually like watching other people play WoW. It's as simple as that. It's the same reason the Cataclysm pre-quests, which everyone can do, got about 150,000 views each. You know, everyone can do it, and people still watch it. I make a video about some ridiculous freaking point-and-click game. It gets 350,000 views. It's safe to say, at this point, that people just want to watch good gaming content. And they'll get it. Simple as that. That is exactly what they're going to get. So, I'll do a full playthrough. Level character. Going to bring High YouTube back. High YouTube's going to start off, I think, as probably a troll, but I'll race change to a goblin once Cataclysm becomes available, and actually they're not giving you the ability to change to that immediately, apparently. You've got to wait a little while, but yeah. So I'll do that, and I'll probably bring with Kittens back as well. The temptation to bring with Kittens back as a troll druid, I might add, is very, very, very high indeed. We will see how that one turns up. Like I say, it should be fun. And of course, there's a bunch of other stuff coming out. I'm actually releasing a poker video later, I kid you not. Did a bit of a playthrough of Poker Night at the Inventory. That's really entertaining, at least the game is. I'm not sure if my video is, I'm sure we'll find out. Part 1 of that will go up after the show. It's all in 1080p. A damn thing won't let me capture in 720, so it's like, hey, full HD poker? Why? Yeah, it should be good. So yeah, that's going up. It was fun to do. There's going to be a lot of content over the next few weeks, and by the looks of it, I should be casting DreamHack live streaming Thursday through to Saturday, if I can get my computer working properly. I've got a nice new graphics card arriving tomorrow, a GTX 580, which I'm told is a little bit meaty, and then the rest of my computer, the i7-980X, coming over the course of a week or so. So yeah, the 580 should be good. I'm looking forward to getting that one through its paces. My 5770s are just not cutting it anymore, and to be fair, never really did. Need some more meat on the power of the rig, ladies and gentlemen. Cynical Rig Mac 2 is going to be badass, that I can tell you. I'll get it its own hat. Oh, yes. A noble amassment of hats. I suppose, after all of that nonsense, I should probably tell you, if you're not already in it, the video chat, for some reason on the website, has been pointing to the wrong place. I don't know why. That's a bug that needs to be fixed. Whatever the case, tinychat.com/cynicalbrit is where you need to be. tinychat.com/cynicalbrit for the video chat, and our IRC is available. There's a client at the top of the page, or you can just point your favourite IRC client to irc.quakenet.org, #cynicalbrit. That's the way to do it, ladies and gentlemen. Without further ado, it's time for this.
That sounds like it's mail time. Here's the mail.
It never fails.
It makes me want to whack
my tail.
When it comes,
I want to wail.
Yes, indeed, folks. It is the mail time. That would be the time where we read the mail. Okay. This one comes in from Jonathan Carroll, also known as Millennia, on Steam Wheedle Cartel EU GM and raid leader of the what the hell is that? The Temperature? Yes, it's not spelled right as far as I'm aware. Maybe I'm just misreading it. Whatever the case. Hello, TotalBiscuit. After testing some dungeons in the beta, I was thinking about how overgearing may affect them, and we could be in a similar position to Wrath when it comes to dungeons. I'm happy they got rid of the badge system, replaced it with 2 justice points, well, 2-point systems, but I have 2 questions in this particular email. 1. Will the gear from the Justice Point vendors at 85 always be out in level 3, 4, 6, so people have to actually go through the different tiers to get endgame gear? I really hope so. Sorry to disappoint you, but no. I know, I hate it too. I have railed against it so much, I continue to rail against it. It is horrible, but here's the problem. They insist on giving the past tier of raid gear to people that don't necessarily deserve it. And obviously, at the start of the expansion, that's not really a problem, because 3, 4, 6 isn't even raid-level gear, but when the next tier comes out, the chances are the Justice Point stuff will go up to 3, 5, 9. I don't know how often they will release gear. I honestly don't. I'm hoping they'll at least give people a few tiers before they bump it up, but knowing them, it'll be once per tier. So if they go up to tier 12, then the gear available from that's going to be like tier 11, tier 13, tier 12, etc., etc. I know, it's a terrible way to do it. It's a horrible way to do it, but that is set in their mind as the right way to do things, and it's not. It's just not the right way to do things at all. Oh, man. How can you not realize that that's not the right way to do it? You end up outmoding content. In this case, it's not even just one dungeon you're outmoding. You're outmoding several. What I will say, at least, is the fact that the heroic gear as well, yeah, this is important, as well as the gear from the big optional end heroic uber bosses, like Lady Sinestra, is going to be significantly more powerful than the normal gear. Which means that you can justify going back to old dungeons to do heroics, and you will still get gear that is useful to you. Which means that, say, if you're taking a while, and then the next tier comes out, you won't have it outmoded. You say, like, the way Old War is, yeah? There was no point in going back to do most Old War heroics, because all of the TOC stuff was just better. Flat out better in every way. So, of course, Old War died off, and it's annoying, really, because it's actually the exact opposite of what Blizzard claims they want, yeah? What they claim is that, well, you know, in TBC, only about 5% of people saw Sunwell, blah, 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 which is why we nerfed it at the end, etc., etc. Only 5% saw Naxxramas 1.0, and we want everyone to see it. It's the opposite problem now. If people come in, either with an alt, or they level up slow, or they just come back to the game, resub in the middle of a tier, they are going to be on the current tier's worth of content, and they will ignore the previous tier. Why? Because they don't have to do the previous tier. All they need to do is heroics to get the badges, to get the gear that was from the previous tier. So you actually have the opposite problem of people coming in the middle of the expansion and not even bothering to check out Old War, Naxxramas. Not that you want to check out Nax anyway, but you get the idea. Yeah? It is the opposite problem. You get too few people, once the expansion really gets rolling, viewing the starting raids as opposed to the ending raids. So you can't have that system. It's bad. It is a bad bad system, and it needs to be fixed. Secondly, do you think Blizzard has learned from gear design in Wrath to not buff the stats of the newest tier of raids to ridiculous levels? So, like I said, probably. What I will say is that my experience of Heroics is that a lot of the mechanics can't really be out-geared per se. Like I said, that my latest video, the Heroic Throne of Tides, everyone except for me was in raid gear. Yep. With the exception of me, who was in Heroic gear. I didn't want to use my raid pre-made because I thought I might over-gear it, and actually, the gear didn't help that much. With a full set, full enchants, full gems, epics and everything, it was still challenging, and that's good. There are some mechanics that, yes, can be out-geared, no doubt about that. But there are others that seem to work very, very well. They've done a much better job. Bear in mind that Heroics eventually will be out-geared. However, bear this in mind, and this is the best thing. If you raid a lot, then you will reach your weekly cap of points. If you reach your cap, there is no reason for you to go into Heroic 5-mans at all. None. Zero. So, whereas you have to do daily heroics with the Wrath system, in the Cataclysm system, you don't. If you raid enough, you will reach the badge cap, and that's it. Yeah, I say badges, it's points, it's the same freaking thing, it's just a currency. You will reach that cap, and that is it, folks. You don't have to farm any more that week. You don't have to go and hit the heroics, the dungeons, you don't have to do it. There's no reason, there's no point in doing it, so yeah. If you are a dedicated raider, you will never have to set foot in those 5-mans ever again once you start getting onto your schedule. My name's TotalBiscuit, you are listening to Blue Plz here on CynicalBrit.com. When I come back after the break, we'll be getting on to that dev chat. Oh, yes. Indeed. I know what I want to play. This track is going out to my bro Husky and his friend Kurt Schneider. And the proceeds from this track, and bear in mind this is available on iTunes and you should go and buy it, are all going to charity. I've had this featured on my channel, I'm going to play it for you right now. Kurt Schneider featuring Huskystarcraft, Justin Bieber parody of all things. It's Banelings, and I'll be right back after this. Enjoy. You're listening to the podcast, an archive of Blue Plz. Music was removed to comply with copyright law. If you'd like to hear the music, tune into the live stream on Fridays at 8 p.m. GMT. That's 3 p.m. EST, only on CynicalBrit.com. Yes, indeed, folks, you are listening to Blue Plz here on CynicalBrit.com with myself, TotalBiscuit. Baby party. I hate charities and I want Middle Eastern children to die horribly because I'm a complete twat. Yes, that's the sound of the haters who I might add are going to hate. So it says in the good book, ladies and gentlemen. Allow me to read from the good book of Internet Ponage, which inexplicably looks like a Warhammer 40,000 novel. Chapter 3, verses 2 to 7. And lo, did Husky say, haters, they be gon' hate, and they are impotent. They have no influence, no life, no crib, and they be getting up in my grill. However, I have this orange Lambo, and many more subscribers than they do. Here endeth the lesson. Also tell me what of the Night Haunter. The Emperor betrayed my gene-father. Even without the great heresy's ideals, the need for vengeance alone would be enough for me to live my life only to see the Imperium fall? He didn't say that at all. This is a lie. Ugh. Yeah, it's not a very good book, honestly. Of the 40k I have, it's probably not as good as some of the others. 40k books are generally a little bit pulpy, to say the least. Who, ladies and gentlemen, who wants to do some dev chat? Who wants to do some dev chat is brought to you by Best Buy. Huh. Nobody, I would hope. But you just prefer to do some dev chat because you don't need corporate sponsorship on a bloody dev chat. It's not an event, it's a dev chat. It's the kind of thing that they've been doing for the last 6 years. Now apparently they feel the need to sell advertising on it. Hey! Bloody wonderful. Ha. Let's do it. Let's make it happen. Right. I shall be visiting MMO Champion for this. If you so desire, you can read along with me. I shall put this one in for you in the chat room. There you go. If you are listening to the podcast, I shall put the link in the show notes on cynicalbit.com. This will take as long as it takes, always. You know, sometimes it takes one segment, sometimes it takes two. We shall get on with it. You know the format for this by now. I do it every time they do a Q&A or a dev chat of any description. So, yeah. Let's kick it off. Let's make it happen. The first section is Cataclysm General. I would like to point out to people that this is the first question they asked. You know? Very, very, very important. Has Blizzard considered adding a tabards tab to the UI so that tabard collectors can switch out tabards more effectively without having to take up bank and bag space? Thanks. That's from Death and Holy on Galacrond. Those watching you on cam right now, of course, bear in mind that the camera is, of course, behind, or indeed ahead, of the audio stream. Of course it is, it's got nothing to do with each other, but in my hand I hold a very, very small screwdriver from Maplin. I have the desire right now to take this screwdriver and jam it into my eye socket. In fact, I may do just that. Oh dear. Is that the best you could come up with? Oh my god, I've got this unique opportunity to ask Blizzard anything I so desire. The burning question on my mind right now is whether or not we can have a tabard keyring. Oh! Really? Is that... there's not even that many tabards to worry about switching between. But it's for the RP! Oh, wow! I don't know what goes on in the minds of most WoW players, but if it's like this, then I totally understand why Wrath was as bad as it was. We're catering to the majority, and the majority can barely tie their own shoes in the morning, let alone do anything of note with their lives. The answer: we've talked about adding a tabard tab, and we have all these great pun-tastic ideas for it. We've talked about doing a closet tab to handle it. It isn't something we're adding for Cataclysm, though. Now, what you put on the end of there is, why did you send us such a dumb question? That is so far down our list of development priorities that, in fact, it's come out the other side. It's in a different frickin' time zone. Question 2. This surely will be better, right? Guys, please tell me it's going to be better. Please. Oh, dear. Will you allow players to fill their quest log with, say, 25 dailies, then turn them right in after midnight on December 7th to get a quick boost towards 85? This is how it worked in the beta, but some people are confused as to whether or not it'll work in live. Are you serious? Oh, man. So, the next question is whether or not it is possible to gain a very, very small boost of experience after Cataclysm launches by doing a bunch of Wrath dailies, because, of course, those are the most exciting things I can think of. That's the second question. Unbelievable. Answer: regarding 25 daily quests to turn in when the expansion goes live. This is something players have been able to do for the last 2 expansions. We aren't talking about changing it now. You heard it here first, folks. You can get 1% of that XP bar. Get on it. Get on it now! Let's ignore the fact, of course, that experience goes like way up in Cataclysm, as does the quest rewards for said experience, and ergo the 25 quests that you do before you actually go into Cataclysm are basically going to make no difference at all. But congratulations on wasting your time on Wrath dailies the night before Cataclysm goes live. That's surely what you want to do. I need that last fix. Gotta get my fix. Gotta get my last fix of Wrath. Inject it into my veins! How do they work? Question 3. I understand the decision from an economic perspective, but I was wondering if the developers were disappointed in the decision to allow race changes immediately following the release of the expansion. I like this. It's like there's some embattled thing going on within Blizzard right there. The developers are battling out with the marketing guys. The marketing guys are sort of lobbing artillery shells over at the small island of PR guys over there. There's big international incident going on. And then you've got Mike Morhaime sort of as the warlord, leader of the evil Russian Space Federation or whatever, prepared to aim this giant microwave laser cannon at Los Angeles. And then there's this guy in this Space Marine suit, but it's not like a normal Space Marine suit. It's a really fast Space Marine suit. And that's Chris Metz in there. He's actually in the Space Marine suit, and he's sort of skating around and smoking, looking like a really cool dude. And wait a minute, that's Vanquish, isn't it? Whatever the case, that's exactly what's happening. That's what I imagine happening within the Blizzard HQ right now. And if it's not, I'll be highly disappointed. Answer. Regarding allowing race faction change on day one, actually this wasn't an economic decision at all. This was a decision that the leadership team made. The leadership team? Okay. Our priority as the dev team is to allow players to play the game with their friends the way they want to. Is it? Huh, okay. Cool, excellent. Right, so bearing that in mind, would you kindly explain to me why, for the last 6 years, despite many people actually requesting it, and the fact that it blatantly works because we have done cross-realm play with US players in the beta with absolutely no problems whatsoever, why I'm not able to play with people in the US? Why can I, 1, not do cross-realm to them, or 2, not transfer a character from EU to US, or vice versa? Why is that exactly? If your priority is to allow me to play my game with my friends. You know, for 2 years I was over in the States, and I would have loved to have been able to do that. Problem is I can't do that. And of course, play the game with friends, like at some kind of LAN, for instance. Yes, at some kind of gathering whereby people actually go in. Let me give you an example, folks. So we were at the LAN Center, and the only problems we ever had with the network at the LAN Center was whenever you loaded StarCraft 2, it every time had to download maps, which use a torrent-based system and lag the entire LAN's connection. They have a least freaking line, and all you needed to do to lag everyone's game beyond 500 ping was log in to Battle.net. But of course it's our priority to allow you to play games the way that you choose with your friends, unless of course you want to do the sensible things, because we won't allow that, because you know what? The technology's just not there yet. Oh, yeah. I'll tell you what, playing League of Legends or Black Ops with 500 ping, enjoy that, folks! Quadra kill in their favour. Why? Because I don't know, we're stuck in the middle lane and we can't move. Oh, wow. Anyway. We also talked about the fact that this is a week 1 problem, so we made the decision not to restrict anything. So yeah, you should be able to do the race changes immediately afterwards, which is good, because that means people will be able to do all that stuff, and we'll be able to change the troll. Remember, if you're in Troll Face, which now has 2,400 members, I believe, and you are not a troll, you have 3 days to change once Cataclysm goes live. If you do not do that, then you will be kicked out of the guild, and that would be bad for you. Will Darnassus be rebuilt to be a real tree? How do you build a tree? Explain this to me for a second. Well, of course, you use the genetic cellular... Let's try that one again. The Gnomish Genetic Cellular Regenerationatron 5000 to rebuild the tree. Building tree... I'm sorry, folks. I just need to go do a few architectural designs on my new dandelions. Will it always look like a dead stump with trees at the top? The answer, but now the Deathwing is doing his thing, it makes it much more sense than it used to, right? Deathwing hates trees. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Hey!
Not 1, but 2 Jormungandr worms.
Yeah. It's a universal drop-in for effort, folks. This has gone really well so far. The Best Buy has truly injected some legitimacy and credibility into the dev chat. It's good that many thousands of dollars that they paid to put their name on this has actually paid off for them, and it's really benefited the community. Question 5. Oh, you can't be serious! You're not asking about this! Why would they print this? Oh no! Oh, if you're reading along with me, you know exactly what I'm looking at, but I'm going to do it. Bear in mind, this was something that's been in the FAQ on the official forums for the past 6 years! It's very common knowledge. A lot of players I know are trying to plan out what characters to roll for the expansion. The big question is, will there be any new realms? Some point to low pop realms as a reason against, but surely, with the Redux 1 to 60 experience and the droves of returning players, they design clean slates. They desire clean slates, do they? Okay. There's never been a better time for a fresh realm or two. No, it's a terrible time for a fresh realm. Absolutely terrible time. Balance and fill up the existing ones, for God's sake, before releasing any others. And it's so stupid, because, like I say, this question is in the FAQs everywhere. When will you release new realms? Because, you know, I wasn't very good on my previous realm, but I want to be the king of the world on this realm. Oh my god, re-rollers, how do they work? We haven't decided exactly what the new realm decisions are yet, say Blizzard, but we've opened up the new realms when there's been player demand for them. One thing we can't do is plan all realms for day one. The goal is for realms to have good concurrency so everyone has a great game and matchmaking experience. Don't even start with matchmaking experience. Don't do that. It's like, we've decided we're going to make all of WoW peer-to-peer and get rid of the dedicated servers. Because you know what? The technology just isn't there yet. So, no dedicated servers for WoW anymore. It's all going to be a lobby. But bear in mind, if everyone's actually in the lobby, it's going to lag really hard. And if the person that set up the WoW lobby leaves, then the entire group gets kicked out of the instance. This isn't going well, is it? Next question. This is actually legitimate, and the answer is awful. With the changes to the game environment itself, what new computer requirements will be optimal to run the game smoothly? Answer. One of the things that is really important to us is the great gaming experience regardless of your hardware. That doesn't answer the question. While our system requirements do go up over time, we do want the experience on slower machines to be great. We do this by trying to add a lot of graphical options to allow players to control the experience from runs fast all the way to looks great. So that didn't answer anything at all, considering those options have been there for the last 6 years. Admittedly, they've added a couple of extras over the past 6 years, but generally speaking, you've had the ability to change your graphics options since day one. So saying, well, you can change your graphics options isn't actually an answer to any of that. I'm going to have to answer it myself, aren't I? For God's sake, I'm going to have to do Blizzard's job right here. Right, as someone who has played the beta, and indeed the alpha, since it started, let me tell you this right now. If the launch is anything like the actual beta itself, then there are a couple of zones that are going to hammer you really, really hard. And of course, bear in mind that even with the limited view distance, flying over high detail areas is going to hit your frame rate. Oldham and Twilight Highlands are two of the worst. In fact, they are the worst, without a shadow of a doubt. Oldham has some areas that just floor your frame rate in an unbelievable way. What I will say, which is good, is that as far as I can tell, there doesn't appear to be any frame rate difference in the capital cities between live servers and also the beta client. So, in Cataclysm, I would expect that your experience in the capital cities is going to be about the same, give or take. Bear in mind, of course, Orgrimmar is probably going to be more popular than the Undercity, but since you've got all of your stuff there and the travel hubs are all over the place, you know, there is no centralized travel hub like Dalaran anymore, so you can justify being in Thunderbluff, you can justify being in indeed, hell, Thunderbluff is actually better for a lot of it anyway, and if you're going down to Oldham, Thunderbluff is a much better place to be than, say, Orgrimmar, so it's nice and spread out, and all the zones you go into are all over the frickin' place, so, yeah, I wouldn't worry about it, that should be good. It's not like Lagaran, as far as I can tell, it performs much better than Dalaran ever did, and that was a good decision on their part, so thank you, Blizzard, there you go. And yes, of course, you do have all sorts of options to change, but as far as I can tell, the options have gone up a bit, like the system requirements have bumped up a little bit. There's a couple of zones that I'm just hoping will be optimized before Cataclysm launch, because if they're not, then, well, yeah. You are going to be getting hit pretty hard in those areas. My name's TotalBiscuit. I managed to do a total of 6 questions. This is going to be going on for a while, isn't it? So I'll be coming back with the Best Buy dev chat right after this. This is by Gravedigger. It's called The Hammer of the Scots. Enjoy. You're listening to the podcast, an archive of Blue Plz. Music was removed to comply with copyright law. If you'd like to hear the music, tune into the live stream on Fridays at 8 p.m. GMT. That's 3 p.m. EST, only on cynicalbrit.com.
Friend, I've got what you need. A premium quality Ventrilo server from UGTservers.com. It's goblin engineering, you see. Not like those inferior gnome products, always backfiring. If you're short on cash, you can even share the cost of the server with Guild Deposit. Have those lazy guildies of yours pay their dues. You know, I could offer you this amazing electric cattle prod that'll really get them moving.
UGTservers.com. Voice communication for your guild. Get yours today. Yes, indeed, folks. You are listening to Blue Plz here on CynicalBrit.com. The dev chat. This is no dev chat. This is something else entirely. It's a muted dev chat. Should be purged with blessed promethium. Or, I don't know, cyclonic torpedoes, anybody? Man-eater virus, something, anything? So bad. You know, for once, I actually have to agree with something WoW Insider said, which is incredibly rare, I might add. That's really, really rare. And that's no good questions, no good answers. Damn frickin' right, for once. I suppose even a broken clock is right twice a day. Alright, let's get on with it. Where did Uldum come from? Tinkertown. Egypt. Man. The idea with Uldum is that it's always been there, cloaked from the eyes of the players. The emergence of Deathwing has damaged some of the technology that kept it hidden. In other words, basically the cloaking device was breached by a tachyon field. True story, folks. It's what you get for trying to cross the neutral zone. There is a story in the zone that explains this and what has been happening to the players. All of this is freaking known already. This information has been out for months. What a dumb question. Next one. Why is it that we're not able to use archaeology before the expansion? I thought it was really cool how you guys released Inscription last time. Would love to have the opportunity to level it before the expansion drops. Using archaeology before the expansion was something we talked about, but ended up adding everything but about the profession to the post-sundered world. Thus, you won't be able to use archaeology before the sundering happens. What? In other words, today? Does that happen today? Oh, man. That's pointless. What happened with the Worgen district in Stormwind? We decided it didn't really fit and looked awkward. Plus, Deathwing would have destroyed it anyways. Yeah, you're right. They would have. Now it's a tree that's in Darnassus. There's no reason to go to it at all. Let me put it this way. When it comes to the Worgen, they got gypped hard. In comparison to the Goblin's got a slum, yeah? And that slum is actually very useful. It's got a lot of trainers that you will probably go to, a lot of vendors that you'll probably use. It's a useful area in general. Whereas the Worgen district has literally no useful purpose at all. What would you say was the hardest or easiest part of developing this expansion? After all, many are saying that this is the best expansion to date, so what was the biggest challenge / easiest feat in creating it? There have been huge challenges with this expansion, unlike any we've seen in the other two expansions. The scale of Cataclysms, ladies and gentlemen. I'm hoping that this better not actually be... I hope that this is just the person transcribing that got this wrong and it wasn't actually Blizzard that typed this. Cataclysms! World of Warcraft Cataclysms, the brand new expansion, is huge for us and something we didn't really expect when we started development. But we certainly feel like the effort has been worth it and feel it's our best expansion so far. You didn't answer anything there. There's no answer there. That's rubbish! Oh, wow. Man, that is horrible. That was actually a reasonable question as well. It wasn't the best question. I mean, it was fairly irrelevant, but it was okay. You know? I've seen way, way worse than that. Like the last 7 questions, for instance, but... Oh, man. So they're not even answering the questions properly in this one. Will you allow players to change their login screens? Can we make a sound of face palming? Will it come through? I'm gonna have to hit myself pretty hard for this, aren't I? I'm gonna have to punish myself. This is for the listeners, folks. You know, the problem is I can't really face palm because my hand's in the way, so I'm actually gonna have to slap myself. So here we go. Right, nice next to the microphone. Here we go. There we go. Ow! Anyway, it makes me feel better. The pain brings me into focus. That was the sound of the face palm, folks. So bad. Never say never, but we don't currently have plans to do that. Players are not able to change their login screen. Who the hell cares? Next question. Will the option ever be available to change one's class, contingent upon what's currently available to the race restriction at the time? Never say never, but we don't currently have plans to do that. Never, ever, ever, ever let them do that, I might add. Just don't. Just don't. Changing class is a horrible idea. Consider it for a second. I'm going to change my class. Suddenly, none of my gear is useful. I am now currently completely naked. Not right now. Not like that. So I've got no gear that I can wear because I've decided that the best thing to do would be to change my mage to a paladin. So all my gear is useless. I don't have any gear of any use at all. So what, am I supposed to just get free stuff? Maybe. So that's bad. Not only that, but let me put it this way. I tried rolling pre-mades of classes I've never played. You can't. You just can't do it. If you've never played a class and you've never leveled that class up, then you will be awful at it. Really bad. Incredibly so. I mean, I would never ever want someone that's just changed their class over. The only way, actually, that I would say that that is reasonable is if, and only if, the person in question has a character on their account that's already that class and already has that level of gear. And then what's the point anyway? You've already got one of them. So there's just no. That's stupid. Was there anything you guys regret not being able to do and include at launch? Possibly something you didn't have enough time to polish? You do not need to mention the dance studio at this point, really, it's okay. Well, there is the dance studio. There are, of course, always things we'd hope to get into any patch or expansion that gets pushed out until later. One example would be the idea to have built-in atlas that details every encounter to every dungeon and raid. We're not super happy about the fact that the first time anyone encounters a new boss, the only way to learn about it, other than looking up strategies on the web, is to charge in and die a lot. Oh, man up! Seriously, you baby men! We'd love to give players some idea of what they're about to fight before they engage the boss. Oh, deal with it. .jpg. You know what really gets me about that answer is that there's no mention of Path of the Titans. Like, they're just like people to forget that it was even there. Or the alternative advanced leveling system that allows you to do a bunch of stuff after you've hit level 85 and allows for alternative methods of progression. You know, actually advancing the class, finally getting some advanced mechanics in there and saying, oh, well, you can diversify your class once you hit max level. Would just prefer that you forgot that that was even announced. Would just prefer that, you know, that entire panel we did on it at the last BlizzCon, would prefer that just, yeah, it never happened. We've always been at war with Eurasia. Oh, please. Dance studio. Waste of time. Next question. When designing expansions and content patches, do you have a list of new features to choose from that are planned out in advance, or is there more of a brainstorm session? The feature set for each patch is determined by a combination of doing things or finishing things that we've been wanting to do for a while, along with completely new ideas that emerge as a result of the immediate needs of the game. The primary things you won't be able to do if you don't have Cataclysm are create a new Goblin Worgen, level to 85, and fly in the old world. The old world, yes. Oh dear, this transcriber. We like to stay as flexible as possible, so it's important to us to make sure that we aren't over-planned into the future, even though the real needs players have are changing all the time. Yeah, over-planning, like Path of the Titans, for instance. Oh, man. These answers and questions are so obvious. I suppose the whole logic behind ask a stupid question, get a stupid answer, definitely works out here. No doubt about that. That seems to be exactly what's going on here. People are asking dumb questions and they're getting just rubbish answers. Okay. Next one. Well, I'm not even going to say that because the answer was 4 words. Screw that. Next one. Will the 80 to 85 experience be closer to the 18-hour mark or the 5-day mark that was 70 to 80? That'll totally depend on the player, and you'll be amazed by the differences in play patterns. That being said, somebody usually finds a way to level up very quickly. Yeah, I remember that. There was one, actually, in the beta that later got nerfed. You were able to just slaughter these gnomes for huge amounts of XP. It was good. I mean, that's the way that WoW should be. Slaughter gnomes for a huge amount of experience. But in this case, no, didn't happen. Ha! Yeah, case-by-case basis, whatever. Stupid question, stupid answer. Players level up at different speeds. Admittedly, it would be nice to get a ballpark figure, but hey, there you go. What new features in WoW Cataclysm are you guys most proud of? I would have to say the 1 to 60 revamp. It's a ton of fun to play through the zones and an incredible amount of new content. I'm most happy with the new Worgen and Goblin starting experience. I think they're the best starting experiences we've ever done, and that does include the Death Knight. Well, yeah, that'd be right. They are the best. There's not even a question about that. Without a doubt, absolutely freaking fantastic. Right. Next one. What is... I have is why not have this latest expansion as a new territory? What? What is this? I don't even. I'll read this out verbatim. I have is why not have this latest expansion as a new territory like a Southend similar to Northrend or a moon body like Outlands. A moon body! Instead of destroying Azeroth and Kalimdor. Were there limitations to expanding outwards, or was this just a facelift the original game? Why wouldn't you destroy something that's 6 years old? And come on! Why not have a new continent? Because new continents suck. They do! They're just dumb. Hey, see this new continent that we're never going to go back to once this expansion is done. This nice big empty territory that none of you are going to engage in or even pass through. When was the last time you went to Shattrath? Why would you? More to the point. For what possible reason or rationale would you have for going to Shattrath? When was the last time you went Blade's Edge or Shadowmoon Valley? And of course, now, when's the last time you beat... You know, we're going to be saying this. When's the last time you went to Northrend? We'll say this 6 months down the line once Cataclysm's out. Revamping the old world was a great idea. Absolutely fantastic stuff. Anyway. Right. So, where's the actual answer to this? We make decisions like this on a case-by-case basis, again, depending on the needs of the game. In the course of Cataclysm, the world was due for an overhaul, and we wanted to make everything flyable, so it was important to flesh out any areas that were originally unfinished. Simple question, simple answer. And it's a dumb question as well. But why didn't you do this? It's like, why didn't you base your next expansion in another dimension? On a, I don't know, some kind of Death Star, maybe? I don't know. I have a feeling this Q&A is actually rotting my brain. Were these really the best they could come up with? I actually am very scared that these were the best questions that were sent in, honestly. I hope they weren't. I hope they're just dicking around. Is there an alternative mount for Worgens that other races can ride? Worgen can ride the other mounts in the game, if that's what you're asking. They're not limited to their feral run. The amount of emoing out of this tiny issue is unbelievable. But the mountain balance, oh my god! Oh, who cares? Really, who actually cares? Why are there people that care about this? It is incredibly depressing to me. On both an intellectual and spiritual level. Holy crap. Will you be able to train running wild as a gnome? How many times did I actually get asked that unironically? Oh, wow. I don't know. Will you be able to think if I ask you to? Will you be able to, I don't know, apply common sense and logic and rationale and reasoning to this particular argument? No? Then no, you can't get running wild as a frickin' gnome. Next question. We're onto raids and dungeons right now. Will it be as long of a wait to fight Deathwing as it was for Lich King? Hopefully not. What do you mean, hopefully not? No, it's supposed to be the end boss. Of course it should be that long. Anyway, hopefully not. We definitely have a goal to get our content patches out more quickly than we have in the past, without sacrificing quality. Of course, we plan for Deathwing to be the most amazing encounter we've ever made. But if you want it to be the most amazing encounter you've ever made, you surely want it at the end of the expansion, right? So why... I don't know. Bear in mind, it wasn't actually that long. The Lich King was fightable a year ago. Oh, wasn't a year ago, was it? Because they had those limits. What was it? Maybe 10 months ago? Because they had the gating, didn't they? And that didn't last all that long. So, yeah. Holy crap. How was that too long ago? Seriously. Oh, man. Next question. Could you comment on the plans for raids in Cataclysm? If I remember, it was said that there would be smaller raids in Cata, but more of them. Would that mean like 2 small raids per patch, or more patches in total? The idea is we'll have more raid environments, but fewer bosses in each, but a similar total number of bosses overall, if it makes sense. So for the Cataclysm launch, we have Skywall, Twilight Bastion, and Blackwing Descent, versus having almost all the bosses in one environment like we did with Naxxramas. Thing is, we already knew this. These are questions for people that haven't been paying attention to anything. I mean, really. All of this information is blatantly obvious, and it's such a wasted opportunity to ask the devs this. Unbelievable. It's like people just... They don't even care. They just want their information spoon-fed to them. Oh, man. My name is TotalBiscuit. You're listening to Blue Plz. here on cynicalbrit.com. I'm thinking some Kamelot, folks, from their new album. That sounds like a good idea, doesn't it? It's called Poetry for the Poisoned. Now, the name of this track is Hunter's Season. I'll be right back after this with more Q&A. Oh, yes. There are more stupid things to talk about, folks. No doubt about it. Enjoy. You're listening to the podcast, an archive of Blue Plz. Music was removed to comply with copyright law. If you'd like to hear the music, tune into the live stream on Fridays at 8 p.m. GMT. That's 3 p.m. EST, only on cynicalbrit.com.
It be another quiet night in the swamp, my friends. Time again to be channeling the powers of the voodoo, like Vol'jin taught us, and seeing into the mists of time. I see a place where the trolls of the future will go for their entertainment. A place called GotGame.com. By clairvoyance, I be seeing the horde favorite original shows like Game Nights TV, The Irate Gamer, Virtual Rob, The Swag Show, Gaming Mysteries, and something called Mr. Suck. These be the kind of things that would make the Darkspear proud.
GotGame.com is your video game source for entertaining and original videos, reviews, and more. Preferred by trolls everywhere.
Yes, indeed, folks, you are listening to Blue Plz right here on cynicalbrit.com with myself, TotalBiscuit. Oh, man. We wanted to talk about something useful, but instead we have the Best Buy devchat. Just like the quality of Best Buy's customer service, this devchat is entirely useless, and you won't get a straight answer out of anybody. Why? I don't even... Okay, so, let's have a look at some other stuff, shall we? We're still not done with this bloody thing. More raids and dungeons in the Best Buy Cataclysm devchat, as brought to you by Best Buy. I eagerly await the Powerade and Cheetos Best Buy devchat, as brought to you by Powerade, Cheetos, and Best Buy. It's combo, folks. 3 times the goodness, 3 times the dumb. The first tier of Cataclysm raiding has 3 separate instances to tackle. This is so sad. It's like, yeah, it does. It's a shame the guy before that didn't realise that. Then we wouldn't have had the dumb question to begin with, would we? Are you guys planning on keeping with the Burning Crusade? Oh my god, it's the same question! Brrr, Hobbit. Anyway. We're just going to skip that entirely. I have been confused from the different posts for tier gear. Will there be 3 levels within each tier still, or just heroic, normal, and in either case, will you just be getting them with points, or will you have to get certain things off drops off certain bosses to get the higher, more heroic version of the tier gear? That's one long-ass sentence, bro! Right, there is still just normal and heroic difficulty for the raid and dungeon content, and the heroic gear has a higher item level than corresponding normal gear. That doesn't help! You didn't answer the question! He asked you if you needed drops of certain bosses to get them, and you didn't answer that. You are so bad. It's like, I could have actually done better than this. Really, I could have. Oh man. Next question. Is there any talk of maybe some faction cooperative campaigns? Since the Cataclysm is threatening to destroy all life on Azeroth, to me the logical response from the heroes of Azeroth would be to set aside the differences and be able to work together in a raid. An idea to maybe lessen the frequency of such groups is to make the raid difficulty increase by choosing to work with the other faction. A sort of heroic mode, possibly even dual faction specific raid. Has there ever been any talk of such a possibility? This is a common request. Is it? I thought the common request was, can we have more infighting, please? Because I'm sick of the Care Bear crap. That's what I recall from the forums anyway, but then again, I've been banned for a long time. Yeah, that's probably the case, actually, because I got banned. The Care Bear factor increased by several magnitudes. Oh, wow. While there was a singular main bad guy in this expansion, the Horde and Alliance have their own unique challenges and agendas and typically don't look to team up. After all, it's World of Warcraft, not World of Peacecraft. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Hey!
Imbecile of the week
goes to Blizzard for that freaking horrible pun. Onward we go. My God. It's horrible. It's the most horrible thing we've ever seen, Jim. It's questions, but not as we know it. It's a dumber, more retarded, primordial version. Can you clarify and confirm what will be available to players when 4.0.3a hits and what will be unavailable? 4.0.3a will be the patch that actually includes the world changes, and at that point you'll be able to experience the new 1 to 60 leveling content as well as new race class combinations. It will not include Worgen. It will not include Goblins. Simple as that. That's what you're going to get. So, yeah, basically all the really, really, really good stuff you're going to have to wait to Cataclysm for because the other zones basically own the old ones, even if the old ones are now significantly improved. Achievements, folks. I'm surprised the achievement section doesn't take up half of the frickin' space on this QA. There's any through about making account-wise achievement. What? Let me try and translate this. I assume he means, are there any thoughts about making account-wide achievements like StarCraft ones? It's a reason, apparently. I'll try and translate this on the fly. You don't need this nonsense. It's a reason for many players to not re-roll or change main, since it looks like an awful lot of work wasted when you switch your main character. Even changing to another character will help one fight look a bit wrong now, if you are at... What? I can't even decipher that. I don't know what it means. Oh, man. We do have plans to solve it. It's something we want to solve, but don't have a good solution on how to do it. Well, I can think of a few ways. It's called account-bound achievements. Done. If it fricking matters. And it really doesn't. To be fair, it really doesn't. It's such an irrelevant thing. But I assume that people really only want the same achievement once. And why would you go and do it again? You've already proven you can do it. But hey, there you go. It's not hard, really. It's a really easy system. You just follow the Xbox Live model, if you need to. An achievement is now bound to an account, just like it's bound to a guild. Oh, that was hard. Gee. Remind me who's getting paid over there again to think about these things? Next question. Will achievement points ever be able to be used to purchase any perks? We have no plans to allow this. Achievements are a badge of honor only. Which is, of course, a massive backtrack from the original plan for achievements, whereby you were supposed to be able to buy cool stuff and cosmetic gear with it, as long as it didn't affect the game in some way. So yeah, they've completely changed their mind on that, and there's the backtrack. Indeed, the only useful thing about achievements in any way has now been backtracked entirely, and there are no plans to do it. In fact, they would like you to forget that they ever suggested it. You know, I have to believe that because everyone is really busy on making this expansion the best it can possibly be, they got all the bad dudes to actually do this Q&A, and that's why the answers are really awful. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe the word purchase is a problem in that question. Maybe just the word unlock, as suggested by one listener, would be a better idea. Yeah, probably right. Yeah, unlock, perks, achievements, whatever. Unlock little items, mounts, something. Just, yeah, let them spend their bloody achievement points on something, and then I can at least understand the reason for even bothering with the bloody things. You know what? I think that's actually the reason that everyone hates Trollface, because they know that there's no way they will ever get the Critic Kill Squad Guild achievement before we do. Next question. Will the heirloom item scale to 85? Well, the current plan is to have heirloom items stop at level 80 for the moment. There you go. Done. Yeah. Next question. I was wondering what new and exciting mounts there will be, and what your favourite so far is. Not surprisingly, there are all kinds of completely useless items in Cataclysm. We will have spectral useless items, a dark useless item, a camel useless item, and the new alchemy useless item that turns you into a useless drake that can ride among others. The drake that you into a drake... What? That doesn't make any sense. Also, there's a useless scorpion for the Horde and a useless lion for the Alliance. My favourite has got to be the useless camel, though. I mean, really, who doesn't want to be a useless camel jockey? Are you serious? Did you just say that? Who doesn't want to be a camel jockey, guys? You know what? Actually, in our next patch, we're going to introduce this amazing freaking thing, this nice headpiece, so that you can be a towel head. This show has now been taken off the air for blatant racism. Tune in again. Hi guys, I'm afraid this show has now been replaced with an episode of Woman's Hour. Later on in the program, we will be talking about various things, including how best to please your man, 1001 tips as suggested by Cosmo. What, 1001? You know, I can never actually work that out. It's like 1001 amazing sex tips. Like, don't be ridiculous. There cannot be that many. And most of them I might add are wrong. There was a Reddit article about this a while ago. It's like, you know, all of these things that Cosmopolitan magazine actually says to do to your man, don't! Because they're really painful, most of them. He really likes this. No, he doesn't. Stop being an idiot. Oh, wow. Oh, jeez. You seriously said this? Unbelievable. You seriously said this? Who doesn't want to be a camel jockey? Oh, wow! So, about them nappy-headed hoes, am I right? New Alliance race confirmed, nappy-headed hoes in the next expansion. Oh, my God. Everyone in chat is face-palming right now. Everybody. Confirmed. Confirmed. Oh, Jesus God, why would you even... I don't know. Next question! Now! Will there be more than one legendary weapon in Kata? Will there be a legendary DPS caster item? Any info or plans would be awesome. Smiley face! Thanks! It's likely there will be more than one legendary weapon, although it's too early to say for sure. We do, however, have a plan to do a cast of DPS staff soon. Well, great. Meh, care. Legendaries have never really fazed me. Only when they're really, really interesting, and lately, they haven't been. They haven't been interesting since the frickin' bindings, man. Seriously. That was cool. Sulfuris, that was cool. The actual process you had to go through was amazing. Collect 40 frickin' shards of whatever, then suddenly get legendary isn't interesting. Random drop legendaries, not interesting. It's one of the bad things about TBC, actually. 2 legendaries in that were absolutely garbage. Oh, we'll just make them a random drop, why not? No! That's not how it works! Ah, man. Next one. Right, okay, that's the same question. They answered the same question, right? Remember the first one we had in the items? Will the heirloom items scale to 85? Next one, with the level 1 to 80 heirloom items when Cataclysm was released, will the XP gain work while leveling until you hit 81, or will XP gain be disabled for those on release? Like, it's the same thing. You answered the same question. Why would you do this? God's sake, guys. Why does it seem the Scorpion Guild mount doesn't have a guild flag where the lion does? I was hoping to see hordes of scorpions with our guild walking around with a tabard. Yeah, it does. Learn to watch. When riding a scorpion mount, your character displays holding a large standard with your guild symbol on it. Yeah, it's simple as that. It actually looks really good, I might add. Next one. Why did you decide to have 310% mount speed purchasable in 4.0? It's a huge price for such a tiny speed upgrade and used to work well as a just above vanity perk for people who complete the toughest achievements. That's actually a really damn good question. And the answer is garbage. The primary reason was to equalize the awesome vanity mounts players had and change the mechanic to one where you use the mount you were most excited about using. We wanted players to be able to see the mount players want without considering the speed differential as a factor. Except that doesn't actually work. That logic is flawed, and let me explain why that is. There was nothing stopping them from scaling it to 310 if you had earned 310. Nothing at all. In fact, they did that anyway. There's nothing stopping them from doing that. And yet, they made it buyable. So actually, that logic is garbage. I understand the whole vanity thing. I want to ride this mount, and it's not as fast, but I want to ride it anyway. Except that making it buyable did not actually become a prerequisite of that. It's got nothing to do with it. It's a terrible answer and terrible logic. God's sake, yeah, I agree, actually. 310% speed should be a reward for people that did exceptional stuff, because it's a just above vanity perk. You know, it's useful, but it's not essential. Making it buyable is a slap in the face to the people that actually earned it. And yeah, oh, but they don't have to pay 5,000 gold. The people that earned it probably have 50,000 gold. They don't care. Next question. How would a person get a guild mount? Would it be guild... Oh my god, this has already been answered. Yes, when you get high enough level, it unlocks the guild mount, and any player in the guild with high enough guild rep is able to buy it. We've known this for months, because they explained it in previous Q&As. Next question. Will heirloom items work for goblins and worgen leveling from 1 to 80? Well, yes, of course they will. Are you serious? You've seen loads of leveling videos on YouTube of people wearing heirlooms. They work. Next question. Has there been any discussion of changing the heirloom items to true bind on account instead of bind on server limitation than it has currently? This is actually a good question. This is something we would like to do. Currently, the server's mail carriers refuse to work together and haven't worked out the economic terms from... Oh, stupid answer. Oh, we're going to do a derpy answer again, aren't we? Haven't worked out the economic terms for transferring mail from one server to another. One day, we hope to resolve the union issues. Harr! Oh, union issues. Why? So bad, so bad. I understand, okay, technical limitations, whatever, that's cool. I mean, I do believe that, yes, there should be true bind on account items. They should bind through your Battle.net account. Because, you know, they've done that already. You know with what? Deathy. That's bind on account through your Battle.net account through a code that goes in your Battle.net account. That's how you do it. Ah, I bought an heirloom. Suddenly it gives me a code that I enter into Battle.net. Suddenly I can access it on every character. Done. So hard, isn't it? So very hard. Difficult. Challenging. Technical limitations. The only technical limitation that seems to be in place right now is a lack of creative thinking. Next question. I'm going to ignore the PvP and the class stuff, so we're going to just finish this off. I don't really care about PvP anyway. Has there been... No, we've done that last one. Do honor points and badges roll over into Cataclysm, or do they reset to 0? Yes, honor points and justice points carry over into Cataclysm. Stock up now. Of course they do. That was the whole point. There was a cap on them. Overall, never do a Q&A with Best Buy again because it makes you dumb. My name is TotalBiscuit. You're listening to Blue Plz here on CynicalBrit.com. Would you like some Machinae Supremacy? I'm sure you would. And if you don't, then you're doing it wrong. Machinae Prime coming in right here. When we come back after this break, I'm going to do my post-mortem of the Cataclysm beta, and we shall end the show. No Cata Q&A today, folks. I think you've had quite enough of that. Enjoy.
You're listening to the podcast, an archive of Blue Plz. Music was removed to comply with copyright law. If you'd like to hear the music, tune into the live stream on Fridays at 8 p.m. GMT. That's 3 p.m. EST, only on CynicalBrit.com.
Oh, wow. Soku's just presented the best thing of all time, or at least near enough. Why does it have a frickin' shuriken? Banelings don't have shurikens. What are you doing? Lies and slander. Oh, that is pro, though. I like that. That needs to be posted on the website. Scan that in. But Banelings are not armed with shuriken. How dare you? Ninja Banelings. How do they work? How does your mind work, more to the point? I think it is actually made, or indeed melting, in baneling acid at this very moment. And by the way, I'm going to be making a concerted effort over the next 3 or 4 days to coin the phrase bowling, which refers to a baneling with the speed upgrade. Yes, indeed, a bowling. Because speed banes is dumb, and I will not allow the term speed banes to become any more prevalent than it already is. It's stupid, don't do it. Bowlings, folks, that's what they're going to be talking about. Oh, yes. No doubt about that. That is pro. Right. Here come the speed banes, or more to the point, here comes my beta post-mortem. Yeah. I think you've heard an awful lot over the past few months about exactly what has been going on with the beta, and hopefully I've given you a really good insight into what you're going to be expecting. To be honest, there isn't a huge need for some massive great post-mortem of the beta, because I think people are already well aware of what actually happened. They're well aware of what to expect and all that kind of thing. But I'd like to tell you about a few of my favorite things. Yes, I don't actually remember the lyrics to that song. I probably shouldn't. It's not the kind of thing that someone as cynical and jaded and cranky as myself should admit to actually knowing. Do I have to look up the lyrics for favorite things? I probably do, don't I? Yes. No, I won't be singing favorite things for you, I'm afraid. Although I could probably come up with some kind of parody for that. So people keep asking me, when are you going to do a new song? Because, Husky did this amazing thing. It's like, well, I don't really have Husky's budget, but I do have someone who's pretty well known who we're working on a song together. It's going to be pretty awesome, hopefully. I don't want to tell you any more about it, but it should be pretty cool. We're working on it. It may be troll-themed. I think that's very, very likely. Might be my 200,000 subscriber video. I don't know. That's coming up in, at this rate, about a month. We'll see. Anyway. A few of my favorite things, ladies and gentlemen. My favorite, and even my favorite zone in Cataclysm, in the new world, as in the new leveling zones, is Uldum. Why is it Uldum? Because I really, really like the environment. I really like the themes. There's a lot of delving into ancient caves and shrines and Titan technologies going on there. It's also got some really great instances in it as well. It's got the Sky Wall, which is an awesome area. It's Stargate, basically, and it's fantastic. So Uldum is definitely the best zone that they've put in. Best zone in the old world, I think, has really got to be Ashara, because that's been nothing but one awesome quest after another. They've really done a number on that zone, and it's certainly it was the worst zone, or at least one of the worst zones in the game, and now it's become one of the best. So they've really done an amazing turnaround on Ashara, and I'm sure a lot of people will be trying that out and will think the same. My favorite instance, my favorite 5-man dungeon, ladies and gentlemen, has got to be Throne of Tides. Why? Because it's the most visually impressive, it has a great selection of bosses, and it also has that fantastic cinematic going on there. It is the next level of 5-man dungeons, and sadly not all of the dungeons live up to that. A close second on that would actually be, honestly, I think, and it might sound boring, Blackrock Caverns, because even though it's a really generic sort of looking dungeon and it doesn't have the stunning and striking visuals of the others, boss-wise and trash-wise, it's actually incredibly well put together. Like, really great boss design across the board, some really awesome stuff, and a little bit of nostalgia thrown in there for good measure. I like that an awful lot. Best raid dungeon, well, I didn't do Skywall, so I can't really count that, so between the two, Bastion of Twilight, in my experience, has more fun bosses than the Blackwing Descent. But still, there's still a great lot of stuff in there. I mean, I suppose I have to talk about favourite boss. Favourite boss in there is, without question, the Ascendant Council, because it's badass. Such a great set of mechanics. I love the way that they synergize together. It's incredibly challenging. Really cool stuff going on there. And even the trash that leads up to them is awesome. So the Ascendant Council, definitely my favorite boss. Zone I dislike the most. I'm going to have to be sad here, and even though it's visually striking, I'm going to have to say Vashir, because I just don't like the underwater crap. I really don't. I don't like the 3D movement. I like having my feet on the ground. So even though it's very visually impressive and there are some good quests in there, I've got to say Vashir is my least favorite zone of the new ones. What else? My least favorite dungeon, still Vortex Pinnacle. Even after the changes, still Vortex Pinnacle on both normal and heroic. It's just boring. It's too long. It's dull. There's trash that doesn't do anything. There's fights that don't do anything. It's garbage. Second least favorite. That's a tough one, isn't it? Because the rest of them are fairly good. It's difficult to say. I think it'd probably be a toss-up between normal mode Grim Batol and the Lost City of the Tolvir, because the Lost City of the Tolvir it doesn't have an awful lot going for it. But regardless, I mean, there's a massive quality difference between Vortex Pinnacle and everything else. That's just something you've got to bear in mind. The rest of it is really, really great. And then you've got that one big difference right there. Biggest surprise. Bear in mind, I don't have a list for these. I'm coming up off the top of my head. I think the biggest surprise, actually, is just how good the Worgen starting zone was. I didn't expect it to be. In comparison to the Goblin with all the explosions and the gimmicks and stuff, I did not expect the Worgen starting zone to be as good as it was. It was genuinely engaging and really great across the board. It is wonderful, and you should all do it. Biggest disappointment? Aside from the removal of Path of the Titans, is definitely the return to the Justice Point system and the 2 tiers of badges. The fact that they could not get that out of there is horrible. I just don't know why they hang on to that philosophy. What else? I'd say other things like my favourite items. My favourite tier set. We could start with that, I suppose. I think my favourite looking tier set... It's a toss-up between Druid, which I think is really well put together and is genuinely awesome and very unique, and it really sort of harkens back to the older tier sets in that way. And also, what was the other one that was really, really fantastic? The Warrior one's pretty good. Yeah, it's probably the Warrior one, actually. Between the Warrior and the Druid, they are both really, really great. And, of course, the dumbest tier set, well, it's either Super Jack-O-Lantern Man in the form of the Mage, which, for some reason, people seem to like, and I can't figure that one out, or it is the Hunter set, with those... you have been eaten by a Murloc. Seriously, it's so bad. And as regards to my favourite-looking item... a tough one. I mean, there's so many good ones. I think it's got to be the heroic level Caster Blue Dungeon hat, which is a wizard's hat. It's genuinely a wizard's hat. Like, a really cool one. It's so freaking awesome. Big fan of that one. Right, okay, now that we've done the generally gimmicky stuff, let me just conclude on this one. So, going through the beta and going through the alpha and seeing it grow, it's obvious that Blizzard has taken so much feedback from us as the beta testing team and from the community in general, and they've listened to, mostly anyway, they've listened to the really good stuff. The stuff that's actually going to benefit the game and be genuinely fantastic. That stuff is what they've listened to, and that is what they are actually putting into the game, and it benefits a ton. It really shows. When you take the feedback of the hardcore players, when you even take the feedback of the guys that are casual, but they're not entitled, they've got a really good perspective, because, yeah, it's okay to make the game for both casual and hardcore players, but the difference between a casual and an entitled casual is enormous. It's a massive great void of opinion between those two. Casual players that aren't entitled, that accept their lot and say, look, I don't have the time to do everything, but that's okay, they are really useful because they can help shape the game in a genuinely positive way. Whereas the entitled casuals, while they make demands and they get content nerfed and they whine and cry and scream for nerfs across the board, they want access to everything the guys that play more and are better than them at do. I've said it before, I think the best quote that I came up with during the beta, and maybe it's blowing my own trumpet, but what I will say is sort of a bit of self-deprecation in there. Amongst a sea of bollocks that I said during the beta, one thing rings true: I do not want the game nerfed down to my level, I want to raise myself to the level of the game. It's as simple as that. That should be the philosophy that every player should live by. And I do mean every single one of them. And if they don't, they're doing it wrong. They're entitled. It's as simple as that. But I want the game nerfed down to my level. Oh, suck less. Grow a spine. Man-up.jpg. Seriously. Bloody wimps, I tell you that. The leveling content is, as a whole, absolutely freaking awesome. The dungeon content is, as a whole, absolutely freaking awesome. As a whole, the raiding content is absolutely freaking awesome. I can't really comment on the PvP stuff because, like I say, we don't really know about arenas. I think Rated Battlegrounds will be a genuinely good addition, and they might get me back into PvP. Because I think fixed team organised PvP on stuff like Arathi Basin would be really entertaining. Stuff like either Storm, maybe a little bit of Strand. Yeah, I'll be up for that. And of course, you've got the two new ones that are basically like Warsong Gulch and Arathi Basin all over again. That is the Battle for Gilneas, that's like Arathi Basin, and the Twin Peaks, that's like Warsong Gulch. Yeah, I will probably play that. That's really, really good. There's not an awful lot to complain about. That's the best thing. You might think that I complain a lot, but there's so much more stuff that I praised during this than I ever did during the Wrath beta. Now, I played the Wrath beta and I was just meh the entire time. Wrath, for me, has been a giant meh expansion. It's been a subscription that I've not even had active for half the time. Why? Because there's been nothing to do. Nothing I've desired to do. I missed half the expansion, folks. I couldn't even care less. Nothing enthused me about it. Cataclysm is the best expansion they've ever put together. The point that I want to press home is that Blizzard have to keep going on that. They cannot cave in again. If they do cave in again, that's it. At least it's starting off on the right foot. That will help. It's not starting off on 6 months of Nax 2.0 and Farmerson. That's cool. We've got the equivalent of Old War and stuff right here at the start of the game. That's really positive. They just have to keep that going. They cannot do another TOC. They cannot do another Nax 2.0 because it's just going to be terrible. And then, of course, they can't bring in a massive dungeon like Ice Crown, then nerf the crap out of it over the course of a year and expect that to satisfy people for a year. Consider, ladies and gentlemen, for 12 months, on December the 7th when this launches, we will have had ICC for 12 months. That has been the content that we've been expected to live with. Think about how much money you've paid for the privilege of doing ICC for that long. I'll do some calculations for you. If you are in Britain, you have paid £107.88. If you are in the US, you have paid $180. And I believe Europe on $14.99 a month. I can't remember, whatever it's equivalent. You get the idea. Tell me honestly, was it worth it? I'm thinking the majority of you are going to say no, and you would be right. It wasn't. ICC was not worth 180 of your hard-earned dollars. It certainly wasn't worth 107 of your hard-earned pounds, and whatever other local currency you use, it was not. It was not. You did not get enough entertainment out of it to justify it. That last year has been a giant joke. It has really hurt the reputation of Blizzard, and I'm not going to accept excuses like, oh, we're busy with Cata. To hell with you. You have basically infinite money. And yes, you can throw money at a problem like that. You can hire more people. There's devs lining up around the door to work for you. It's unacceptable. But Cataclysm does look good. It is the Renaissance after the Dark Age. There's really no question about that. They just have to keep it going. They have to actually stay the course in terms of good design philosophy and listening to players that are genuinely willing to try to meet the challenge. Because if they don't, then it's Wrath all over again. And hey, there are other games coming out, and one of them might actually get it right. My name has been TotalBiscuit. You have been listening to Blue Plz here on CynicalBrit.com. Shoutouts for the last few minutes of the show, ladies and gentlemen. That is what is available right now. You can send them in over Twitter, you can send them in over IRC, not Tiny Chat, because it's impossible to read, or you can send them in via email to themurloc@gmail.com. That is themurloc@gmail.com. Shoutouts in we go, ladies and gentlemen. In the meantime, while I'm waiting for these shoutouts to go in, I shall give some shoutouts to the people on the cam wall. El Super Bisto. He has... Yes. He's pretending to be a leprechaun. I don't believe it at all. I think he's some kind of false leprechaun. Death to the false leprechaun! That cynical Brit guy, complete douchebag, owes me 10 quid. Disengage. That's very, very appropriate, considering he seems to be completely disengaged from this particular cast. He's like, oh god, what am I doing here? Why am I even here? Oh god, I'm so bored. What the fuck is going on? Gazter, you have a noble assortment of hats, good sir. Very impressive. Arvron. I'm fairly sure he was wearing some kind of wig earlier. I'm not sure if that's headphones around his neck or some kind of training bra. It's disturbing nonetheless. Soki. Yeah, you win the prize this time around just because of that. Banelings. Oh yes indeed. Dark Lady, ruining the chat since 2010. Keep it in your pants, ladies and gentlemen. Clouth. He's a statue. He's not moving. Guys, I think he might be dead. Or he's been frozen by some kind of basilisk. No. Oh, we got movement. Do we have movement? Prove that you're alive, damn it. Hey, there you go. Cheesy grin. That's what I'm talking about. Ryan McLaughlin is Luigi. But his head's far too small for it. Godzilla. You know, I saw his door for the past half an hour. That's all I really saw. I assume he was off stomping on Japan. Or should I say Japan? Yakabu, I actually met you at the LAN. He's capable of stringing a sentence together without stuttering and being a weirdo. It's good stuff. And Sid. What's on your shirt? I can't even read that. Is that JD? That better... You can't be drinking a bottle of JD neat. It can't be JD. No, it's probably in a JD bottle. He's trying to look cool and edgy. It's actually apple juice right there. Oh, man. Why so serious, ladies and gentlemen? Shoutouts! Shout out to Stargate for inspiring Oldham. Oh, yeah. That is from Vagabond 142. Why the hell are my freaking things... Stupid IRC. A shout for Warlocks for being a more advanced class than Mages. That's what I'm seeing. Warlocks are for the class that people that want to feel better and superior about themselves play Warlocks. It doesn't actually make them better. A shout out to Nim for getting GT5. I need to get that and be terrible at it. I need to get a wheel for it. Rofa, the Druid on EU Proudmoore. Shout out to my lovely girlfriend Lynn on EU Proudmoore, who finished her stewardess training, is now flying around the entire world. Oh dear, enjoy those TSA pat-downs. I suppose you don't get them as stewardesses. Yeah, everyone just needs to become a stewardess or air hostess, and then they can avoid that TSA nonsense. Shout out to all at the land for making my day epic. Timo for the win. That's from Yarkavu. And a shout out to Trollface for being awesome and getting free publicity on the EU WoW forums. Yeah. Oh, there's no better word. Trollface, TotalBiscuit. Your tears so delicious, so salty. Yes, let me drink them, let me absorb their power. It sustains me. Hello there, TotalBiscuit. Shout out to the Hungering Cold and the Defias Brotherhood EU for being the most awesome guild in the world and making sure I'm even at the current state of WoW, having fun when I log in, and I hope to see you DreamHack. Sadly, I will not be there. Don't have the time, but I will be streaming it, and I'll hopefully be at the next one. Want to meet my Swedish fans? Shout out to Sweden. A shout out to Morarage and his new lame name on Defias Brotherhood EU. That's from Edar. And a shout out to all US listeners. Have a happy Thanksgiving. A shout out to JNX. It is his 22nd birthday, I believe. Yes. I think it is. So, happy birthday to him. A shout out to Angst on Skywall US because we're awesome. And a shout out to Judgment for being double rainbow awesome. Ugh. Yeah, that's the kind of mincing awesome, isn't it? Shout out to Lap Fox for supplying me with music to listen to while playing WoW. And a shout out to Zad, Corin, and Zaf from Queensblade on Culturass EU. Hoping for a good return to raiding in Cataclysm. A shout out to E-War on Maelstrom EU for being an awesome boomkin. And a shout out to Mark for being sexy from Azelbor. And again, a shout out to everyone who attained and indeed attended the Cynical LAN. You earned achievement, Cynical LAN. And particular shout outs to Fallen Wiccan and all of the others who turned up. That is absolutely fantastic. You guys were great, and we shall definitely see you at the next one, I should certainly hope. And a shout out, of course, to Cyber Game Zone in the Newcastle, yes, on Cross Street, for hosting that one. You should go check them out. I'm done, folks. More videos coming out. Tonight, we'll be doing videos of poking at the inventory. And then tomorrow, I'll probably do a bit of StarCraft. Might do some Pilgrim's Bounty stuff. And, of course, over the next few days, we'll be gearing up to start Azeroth Daily, which I say, as far as I'm aware, no one has ever done a daily video podcast for World of Warcraft. Now they will. It's gonna be good, folks. Looking forward to it. Gonna be a lot of fun. And I would like to announce the return of Gaming Express. Gaming Express will be coming back as a once-a-week special video game deals show. There's going to be a podcast and a video on my YouTube channel. I will be rounding up all of the weekend deals for every digital distribution site and pointing you in the direction of cheap games, as well as giving you my opinion on them. Mucho requested, so that is exactly what's going to be happening. It will be back, and that's what's going to be happening for that. Should be good, hopefully. I am looking forward to wasting your money. I'm done, folks. Thank you very much. As always, you have been a fantastic audience. Love you all, except for the guys that I despise. I should probably go out on a little bit of Cataclysm music. I want to play something from the Arathi Highlands, and you know what? I'd love to play if I can find it. I have to dig this one out. I'd love to play my favourite theme from Tanaris. That would be really great. It's one of these, I think. I'll give it a try. If I get the wrong one, I'm just going to keep playing it until I get the right one. I'm out of here, folks. Good night.
You have been listening to the podcast and archive of Blue Plz, WoW's #1 shock jock show, only on CynicalBrit.com. We'd love to hear from you, so feel free to leave a comment on the Cynical Brit website.